Hey guys, how are you all doing today? My name is Franchise Fanatic, welcome back to the channel. And today for you guys is another movie review. If you saw my Dora and the Lost City of Gold review, I found that to be pretty freaking awesome. I didn't really know why, but it was really cool and I enjoyed it and I gave that a B+. If you have not seen my review or I talk about why I enjoy it, please check that out. However, today we are tackling a movie that I've been looking forward to for such a freaking long time, man, and that is Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark. Now, when I read these books, I was in, like, I don't know, 3rd, 4th, 5th grade, so it was a while ago. But, quick backstory, many of you probably watching this can kind of relate to what I'm saying, but I didn't necessarily read the books, and there are 3. I didn't necessarily read them. They were kind of poorly written, but the pictures, man, the pictures is what freaking got you. I mean, the pale lady, and I'll get to that in a minute. But every single picture in those books scared the poop out of me as a kid, and kind of still does. I mean, that's the whole point of why it's so scary, are the images. So when I heard that they were making a movie, and yeah, Guillermo del Toro and Andre Overtall, whatever. But the main 2 reasons why I want to see this movie, or why I wanted to see this movie so badly, was A, they were books when I were kids, and they scared the poop out of me, and whatever, I'm going with it. A and 2, the script is written by Dan and Kevin Hageman. Now, if you kind of go, hey, I've heard the Hageman brothers before on this channel. What are they? Well, the Hageman brothers wrote for the Ninjago TV show. They went from seasons 1 through 10. Well, technically 1 through 9, but let's just say 10. They are now gone from Ninjago, which is very, very sad. They did a great job with it. Hopefully they'll return. But their big, departure was really for the Scary Stories movie. And we'll get into their writing skills in a bit. But I want to go off to say, right off the bat, that I loved Brightburn, which was another horror film. I have not seen that, go check it out. However, I didn't find that movie to be very scary. I mean, yeah, it's scary that there's an evil Superman kid and there's no hope. That's pretty friggin' terrifying. But it wasn't, like, chilling scary, you know what I mean? The execution was great, but it just didn't feel scary. This movie was scary. Now, yes, this is PG-13, but there is a lot of violence. There's a little bit of blood. There's 2 F words. A lot of swearing, some drug use, just tiny bit, some drinking, and yeah, it's pretty effed up, disturbing stuff too. So essentially, if you read the books, they're basically scary stories to tell in the dark, right? But each scary story is around 1 page or sometimes 2 pages at most, at least maybe half a page. And it was really just story number 1, story number 2, story number 3, and it kept going like that. However, this movie is trying to do something different, and they're trying to basically have an overarching branching storyline to connect these stories. Now, this can be a good and bad thing, because really, like I said, the books didn't have an overarching story. It was just story 1, story 2, story 3. However, when you have all of these stories sort of, I don't know, meshed together, I think it really works. Now, of course, there is this plot where, I don't remember the character's name, so I have to use my trusty phone. The main character, who is a really pretty, but also really, really good actress, and I've never seen her in anything before, is Zoe Margaret Coletti, and she plays Stella Nichols, who's, of course, the main character. We get the bully character, who is Tommy Milner, who I hate that guy. We get Ruth Steinberg, who is the one of the victims. We have Augie, and we have Ramon Morales, and, of course, Chuck, and, of course, Stella's father, Roy. Now, essentially, it's Halloween night, and this group of teenagers finds a haunted house because they've heard about this girl, Sarah Bellows, who essentially was framed for killing a bunch of kids, and there's a whole mystery behind it, and it's this whole big deal. So they go to her haunted house where you're not supposed to go. They find this book full of Sarah Bellows' scary stories. They read it, and they accidentally unleash some of her creativities on the world and on them as well. Now, it's really, really cool that they, first of all, the whole plot of the scary book of scary stories, and then, like, you see Sarah Bellows' shadow move around the world and haunt these kids and write the stories on the book, as they go, and it's written children blood. It's really freaking cool the way that they handle that as a story, and it never feels boring or, forced at all, or, like, overshadowing or overbearing. The Hagemans did a great job writing the script, and everything about this movie really flows. And now, there are a few slow scenes, especially in the beginning, but that is, of course, to build the characters so you care later on, and lots of stuff happens. I almost said the S word. Lots of stuff happens. And, again, once you find out what's happening in the movie, and, of course, it's kind of hard to say without spoiling it, but once the stuff hits the fan, it hits the fan pretty freaking hard, because, essentially, each kid gets hunted down by a different ghost, or story, so to speak. And it does, like I said, it does kind of go from plot exposition about Sarah Bellows and how to stop it, or her, or whatever, to a scary thing, or a story, and then another thing, and then a story, and then another thing, that's story. So some of it, I can agree that I can relate to people saying, oh, it's just, you know, plot and then scary, plot, scary. But again, I think it works for me. It helped bridge that void between just story, story, story. It had, again, this overarching plot about Sarah Bellows and this book and everything about it. So it was really, really cool. I loved the plot. The acting, of course, everyone did a phenomenal job. Especially the main character, who was Stella Nichols. She did a great job in the role. There are a few moments where I'm like, okay, she's good, and then she's crying, and I'm like, wow, that's really good. So again, I think that the director, Andre, did a great job. Guillermo del Toro, I don't know what the hell he even did, but I guess he did a good job. But the Hagemans, again, I love Ninjago. They do such a great job, and I just want to commend you guys. Hagemans, you did a great job. I love the script, and you made it flow very, very nicely when it shouldn't have flowed, because again, in the books, it's just story 1, 2, and 3, but this is an overarching thing, so I thought it was really cool. When you get to the monsters now, right, that's the big draw of this movie, the monsters. We have the, what is it, the big toe lady. We have Mitai Doty Walker, which scared... I don't even remember that, but when I saw it today, I went with a group of friends, and I looked at them, and I was like, I freaking remember that. And I don't think that Mitai Doty Walker, I don't think that had anything to do with anything. It was just the name of it, and it scared the barf out of me. And it was this thing called the Jangly Man in the film. We also get the Pale Woman, we get the Red Spot, which is the spiders, and of course we get, oh, what is it? Some other great ones for sure. Harold, also. So, essentially the bully character starts off with, what's his name? Tommy, who I freaking hate, by the way. And it's a good thing if you hate a bully, because bullies can be very, stupid in movies. You can go, oh, of course there's a bully, you know, whatever. But this one actually worked, and he always told Harold to eat shit, and he'd hit him in the head with a baseball bat. And he was just setting himself up for an F-up, essentially. And I just want to say this right now, that the whole team behind this movie did a fantastic job with the way that the monsters looked, right? The design. It was freaking flawless, man. Harold looked phenomenal. The Pale Woman, the Red Spot scene, the Big Toe, the Jangly Man, everything in this movie worked so perfectly. Now, not everything looks perfect, which I'll get into in a minute, but the designs for everything, oh man, it was so freaking good. Like, as a huge fan of the books when I was a kid, and seeing this now, I was just smiling ear to ear, man. It was so cool. So again, if you do go to see this movie because you were nostalgic like me, and you want to see the monsters, they do not disappoint at all. It's freaking flawless, and it's so much fun to look at, man. And what's cool, like the Jangly Man, yeah, okay, let's get into the CGI now. Jangly Man does not look too good. He's probably the weakest part of this movie in terms of CGI. It just doesn't look good. It looks too blurry and fake. It doesn't look horrible, but it's not... Like, you look at other things in this movie that are CGI and they look great, but then you look at this and you're like, ah, it looks kind of poopy. But, to the movie's credit, every single monster, even Harold, even the Pale Lady, of course not the spiders and the Red Spot, but every other monster was a person in a full bodysuit. And I watched the thing on YouTube, so that's proof. It's on YouTube, go check it out. For the Jangly Man, you actually have a dude in a bodysuit who can actually freaking move like that. And of course they use CGI on top of that to make him more scary and stuff, and it kind of works. But other than that, I mean, the monsters in this movie are amazing, for sure. And when you finally see Sarah Bellows, I'm not going to tell you when or where, but when you finally see her, it looks awesome, it's scary, and it's awesome. I already said that, but it's really awesome. So yeah, we covered the plot, loved it. We covered the monsters, loved them. We covered the acting, loved it. As far as I don't know. It's kind of hard to say, because again, when you read these books, and it kind of translates weird into film. But I think they did a great job. What I'm trying to say is they did a great job having this, again, overarching story of them trying to find out what's happening with Sarah Bellows in this book, while also having time for these scary encounters. And these scary encounters are amazing. The Harold scenes are great. The Red Spot scene, now this is another CGI, I think. The tiny spiders that burst out of, what the heck's her name? Ruth's face. It could have looked better, is what I'm saying. I'm watching it, and I'm a stickler for things like this, because I'm a movie critic on YouTube now, so I'm like, the spiders looked a little blurry. Now, again, that could just be me being overreactive, but it wasn't perfect, so, you know, a little bit down a notch. But, at the same time, every single encounter was amazing. When you see stuff, let's see here, when you see the, Harold, That was amazing in the cornfield. So well done. Excellently executed. I think it was really tension building. When you get to Ruth and these spiders, that was pretty friggin' disgusting, I gotta say. And the pimple in the trailer, it's a lot bigger in the movie, so yeah. We get Augie with the what is it? The the big toe. That was really cool. My friend said it scared him, and it was pretty freaky. We get Ramon, who really has the Jangling Man on top of him, which is really cool. And you watch the movie, pay attention, because the Jangling Man is, of course, you know, a bunch of like severed limbs, kind of, and he kind of comes together. Pay attention to the plot, because he's in severed ways for a reason. Let's see here. And then, of course, we have the dad that doesn't really do anything. And then, of course, Chuck, played by Austin Zadger or whatever. Looks really strange in that picture, but I think he was in Shazam. And the Pale Woman was, I think, the least well done. It is very nerve-wracking, for sure, but the end jump scare thing, you know, that every other one does, it isn't really a jump scare, and it doesn't really work. It is still frightening, and let me just say that the movie begs itself for a sequel. Now, in the end, for negatives, I'll have to say, again, the CGI can be a little strange with the Jangly Man and the spiders. Not terrible, but not great either compared to other things in the film. And of course, like I said, the beginning is a little slow, because again, we want to watch this movie for the scares, for the monsters that we know so well. And because they have this plot, they have to develop the plot. So that, I'm not really going to give it a negative for that reason, because it does develop the plot. You do need that in a movie, you know. This movie technically could have just went story 1, story 2, story 3, story 4, story, whatever. It could, if it was just story, it would have been fine. But the Hagemans chose to write something that essentially bridged all of these stories together into one cohesive narrative. And that is something that I can truly, truly get behind, and that was amazing. So, all in all, I'm going to give Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark an A-. I love the movie so much, and unlike Brightburn, this movie was scary. Yes, it's PG-13, but it's not kid-friendly, well, just like every other PG-13 movie. And at the same time, it scared me. Now, is this scary like I can't go to bed scary? No. But it definitely is something that there's jump scares, there's tension, there's a lot of intense moments, and it's funny at times, it's sad at times, it's everything, man. And again, when the freaking end title showed up, Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark, I got effing goosebumps, man. It was so crazy, and I loved it. It definitely is, it definitely was scary. Not, again, I won't be able to sleep tonight scary. But it did scare me more than Brightburn, so I'll have to give it, you know, something for that. That was really cool. But again, I love the writing, I love the acting, I love the CGI for the most part. I love the story, and I love the monster scenes, man. For you wanting to only watch those, it was perfect. Every single one was great. Maybe the Pale Woman was a little bit anticlimactic, but it was still very nerve-wracking and spine-tingling, to say the least. So, I love this movie so much. I hope I can see it again, and I will be getting it, just like Dora, on Blu-ray, and I will be unboxing it for you guys whenever I get that in the future. Tell me in the comments if you have seen Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark. What did you think? I know for a fact that, again, I do respect people's opinions, but I don't really listen to anyone else's. I do, but I don't really, you know, what I say goes, essentially, as a movie critic. But I was walking out, and there's this woman, she asked me, she's like, how'd you like the movie? And I said, oh, I loved it, it was great. You know, I read it when I was a kid, it was great. The writing and the acting and everything, it was amazing. It was scary, and she didn't like it. And that's perfectly fine. She didn't give me a reason, of course. We didn't, like, you know, debate for an hour, but she didn't like it. And I really don't understand why someone wouldn't like it. This is not the most scary movie in the world. Really, it's not that scary until the monster scenes happen. But it is definitely nerve-wracking, and the imagery is pretty effed up at times. But, again, I respect people's opinion. That's fine. I just don't know how she didn't like it, but whatever. It is what it is. But, again, tell me in the comments below, A, if you've seen the movie and if you like it, and B, I got it right this time, B, tell me if you read the books when you were a kid, or if you still read them today as a teenager or an adult. Thank you guys, and I'll see you in the next video.